Welcome in, everybody, to another live edition of this week's preview show, 410 Sports. Of course, here, myself, James Haskell, along with my co-host, Glenn Martin, and DK pulling all the strings in the background. So we're excited to talk about the Baltimore Ravens matchup against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Glenn, it's Steelers week. Feels like it snuck up on us.
A little bit. Are you still with me? Okay.
Hey, I'm here.
Yeah, it did feel like it. It's probably because the Steelers aren't competing for the division right now, but I will say, I think the Steelers have won 4 consecutive games against the Ravens.
Yeah, 4 consecutive games, man. We were at the last one.
Yeah, and that was a tough one. That was that one hurt. But yeah, so looking to bounce back, a team that's I think in a very different place than we saw them early this season. They're winners of 3 of their last 4 overall, including last week's win over the Atlanta Falcons. So, yeah, a lot to talk about. Of course, it's a huge game for the Ravens as they continue to try and stay atop the AFC North. Thought that the Chiefs would do the Ravens a bit of a favor last week and knock off the Bengals. But, man, Bengals got the Chiefs' number once again, got the win. And so this is a very, very important game. You pointed out last time I think we spoke, Jimbo, that the Bengals still have the far more difficult schedule to end the season than the Ravens. But that doesn't mean these are gimmies. And you know, starting with this one on the road at Pittsburgh is going to be one hell of a ball game.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, always seems to be the margin of victory with these two teams is always so slight that no matter what the schedule, what the health, what the record is, they always end up seeming to be close games. So as we get you guys prepared for this game, of course, give our predictions, go through our competition, give you guys, players to look out for, stats and things like that. And of course, as you guys enjoy our repertoire, we're going to, that's right. We're going to go through the health of the Baltimore Ravens. As always, do a quick health check with Dr. Glenn over here. So it looks like DK's got something for us to put up on the screen so we can take a look at the injury report because it's a big deal. I think there's been some news that's been positive, been some news. Obviously, Lamar's not going to be there, but been some positive news around the Baltimore Ravens injury report. So what do you got for us, old Doc? Where's your lab coat, dude? Do you leave that at work?
Oh, man, the lab coat's been gone for a little while now. It's suits every day now, Jimbo. No more lab coat. Had to hang it up. But I almost showed up in a suit here. I've just changed because my son had his winter wonderland at school. So right from work to winter wonderland.
How'd it go?
To here. That was pretty cool. I thought it was pretty cool. There's a bit of a issue getting in and out of the parking lot, which I'm sure you can imagine. All the cars rushing back. But yeah. Other than that, I made it here just in time, so I'm happy to be here with you guys. Yeah, no doubt. So let's get into it. All right, so let's get into I'm going to go through some of the names that aren't as integral, aren't as important, and then we'll kind of take it from there. So Tristan Colon did not practice. Doesn't look like he's going to go. No big loss there. Del'Shawn Phillips, same thing. He had some limited sessions, but correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think Del'Shawn's been active as of yet. And then And then Christian Welch, practicing a limited basis, has come back from a concussion. Special teams performer, not a big-time contributor on defense right now, but we'll have to wait and see what Patrick Queen's scenario or, game-time decision looks like because Christian could end up being a bigger part of the defense than normal. So let's get right into some more of the guys that matter. I tell you what, Daryl Worley, he hasn't participated in practice this week as he's been battling a hamstring. He was a stud on special teams, Jimbo. I mean, he must have made 3 solo tackles on special teams, and all of them were pinning them behind the 25, and I think a couple of them were behind the 20, including the final tackle on the drive in which they had to kick a 63-yarder. If they don't cover that kick so well, who knows what happens? Maybe they were 5 yards.
I think that was Seymour, wasn't it?
Was it Seymour who got that tackle?
Yeah, but Worley started it all. Like you said,
I mean, first play of the game, he was down there hitting him. Man. Yeah, so hopefully he can go, but it doesn't look good with not practicing either Wednesday or Thursday. Patrick Queen's the interesting one because it comes out later that it was a thigh bruise, and they gave him some ribbon. The coaches, I mean his teammates, they put an Oscar in his locker. I think they're giving a little grief that a bruise caused him to be carted off the field in a game that everyone's, a tough guy, big, and you go off the field on a cart when it turns out to be just a bruise. So they gave him a bit of a hard time. He's practiced in a limited basis, but I think that will be a game time decision. We'll have to look at that. Here's my question about this one, Jimbo. Ronnie Stanley, Wednesday, full participant, right? Full participant, looking good. Limited today. Patrick McCary, on the other hand, did not participate at all on Wednesday and limited today as he deals with a toe injury. What's your thoughts on how that? Do you think you think Ronnie gets out there, or do you think we have to rely on Pat McCary another week?
No, I think Ronnie goes.
Okay.
I'm feeling really good about this. I think Ronnie gets out there and plays. And sometimes when I feel like that, it's always 1 week later. But I tell you what, if there's a week we need Ronnie, it's this week. Of course, you got a guy like TJ Watt on the other side of the ball, who's an absolute animal. So yeah, we need ourselves some Ronnie Stanley back. So this might just be me hoping, but I feel like all things are trending in the right direction. I think he's back. And to me, I think outside of Lamar, he's the most important one on this list. So I'm glad, got to give him some airtime for sure, because when Ronnie comes back, statistically speaking, we're a different football team.
What do you think? Do you think it's even or equal in how much he helps the run and pass? Or do you think there's one, like, run or pass that he helps more?
I think a lot of people would shade towards the pass, and maybe I would have myself, because I don't know. I just feel like a lot of people don't give Ronnie a lot of love in the run game. But I'm trying to remember what game it was where him and Moses were on this. One of them had pulled, and they were on the same side. Oh man, it was a home game. I can't remember what game it was at this point, but we had the run game going, and it was just a beautiful thing to watch. So I'm going to say it's even. I don't think I would have said that before this season, but seeing the stark difference between him being there and not there, even in short stints, I'm going to say it's even.
Yeah, and I tend to agree with you, surprisingly. I think I think most people would say pass blocking, but
for sure.
The way he can move in the run game, there's no doubt he adds a ton of value there. And then the last one, I think, has a lot of meaning here. Kevin Zeitler, knee injury, did not participate either Wednesday or Thursday. Jimbo, this could be a big. This guy's playing at a Pro Bowl level. Yeah, he's an anchor. He's a vet. Nothing shocks him. He's an AFC North just long timer. I'm nervous about Zeitler not playing, Jimbo.
Yeah, I am too. But I think that if anybody out there, everybody is a warrior in their own sense. But if there's going to be any guy that has any chance of going, he's going to go. I think it's going to be Zeitler. So he's a vet. He knows how to, he knows what his body needs. So he probably thought, look, Thursday, Friday, give me the 3 days, Thursday, Friday, or Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then obviously Saturday, but give you 3 days off practice and call it good. That was more of what his body needed maybe than just a couple of reps in practice. And so I think he ends up being out there.
A big time determining factor next week, or tomorrow, I should say. Does he get in at least for the walkthrough?
Yeah, that's true.
I think that'll be a big deal. But yeah, nobody else. Marcus Peters missed both days, but they're labeling it as rest, and so I'll take it at their word that it's just a rest day. So yeah, there's guys coming back. It's good news, but we'll have to wait and see if we finally see the appearance of David Ajabo as well. It's just Juan says, let's say we clinch the division. It's the last game of the year. Should T call that game, especially knowing Greg won't be here and it's a free game? Well, I'm glad you brought this up. It's just Quan, because I saw a report today that the new leader to take over the Stanford Cardinal head coach job is not Greg Roman, that it is what's the former Cowboys head coach?
Oh, he's on TV now.
Yeah, hasn't been there in a couple years.
Gosh, dang it.
Is it Garrett?
Garrett.
That's his last name. Yeah, why am I
Jason Garrett? There you go. It's so weird. Isn't it funny how you get on in front of the camera, you get like
Yeah, like it's just gone. But Jason Garrett has emerged as the clear front runner to the point where they're calling Greg Roman not even in the conversation any longer. That's the tweet I saw. So, take that for what you will, but let me ask you.
I told you.
To hear that. Yep, you did say he wouldn't get the job. What's your initial thoughts hearing that Greg Roman won't be taking over Stanford? Do you think that means he might be here next year, or what's your thoughts on that?
No, Greg's not going to be here next year. And whether I agree with it or not, I just think it's time for a change. I think that he might have taken this offense as far as it can go at this point.
As far as he can take them, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So
do you think that the decision from Stanford had anything to do with the James Prochet double reverse pass? I mean, seriously, did that lose Greg the job? Honestly,
No, what it was Stanford. All these intellectuals are sitting around and they're looking at their analytics, and obviously they're not looking at analytics. They wouldn't have hired Mr. Mediocre and Jason Garrett, right? But they're sitting around, they're doing they're reading their peer-reviewed research, and they look over and then they see the highlight, and it's one of those things where you clink glasses together and you're like, dang, I knew we made the right decision.
yeah,
It's just validation for them.
that's all that was.
Made.
That's all that was. Well, shout out to Charles Bowie, by the way, who reminded me of that. I did see that on Twitter too, the video. But yeah, shout out to Charles for reminding me of that. But yeah, I think a lot of Ravens fans are going to be a little disappointed to see that Stanford's not going the G-Row direction, but I'd be surprised if he's still the guy next year, unless they turn things around and go on a massive run, which is obviously very possible. But all right, so let's get to
this last super chat before we hop over to our next section here. It says, Ravens O's Nation, guys, I live in PA. I need a win this week. I'm sick and tired of hearing about Steelers win streak over us. I believe in you, Tyler Huntley. 100%. I mean, that last game was absolutely brutal. I'm referring to the game that we went to, Glenn, that last Steelers matchup.
I remember. In the rain, in the cold.
Yeah, Glenn was yelling at Steelers fans after the game.
So bad.
Not like in their faces, but like into the air. Just his kind words for Ben Roethlisberger. So, right. For sure. It's not the send-off we wanted. We need to get that bad taste out of our mouth. And at the very least, Huntley was at least he took part in that bad taste. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Give him a little bit more to play for, right? Like, he knows firsthand what that was like to lose a slow death to Ben. I need a Roethlisberger.
I got to ask you, Jimbo. Katie's wondering, what's going on with your eye? You keep itching your eyes. What's going on, dude?
It's the dog. Remember I had the dog over here?
But you're not allergic to dogs?
No, but she's just dusty. Okay, it's the dander.
She's a dusty, dandery dog.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kevin Johnston, how do I send a super chat? I wish I knew. I hate to say it, but I have no idea.
I think that somewhere below the video, it should say like a super thanks or a super chat, or on the side where the chat is. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, that's about as descriptive as I can get. The other thing I just want to say really quick before we get to the next section, shout out to my father-in-law. It's his birthday, 63 years old, 63 years young today. Alejandro, happy birthday.
Happy birthday. Yes, sir.
Right. Big shout out. All right, Glenn, let's get to it now.
All right, let's do it.
Let's talk about this matchup from the perspective of the Steelers defense, which for both of these teams right now is really the highlight of their teams. But we're going to talk about their defense against our offense, Tyler Huntley-led offense. So, Glenn, what are we looking at from a defensive standpoint in reference to Pittsburgh Steelers?
Yeah, and it's, of course, a tough one to talk about the Ravens offense when they have Tyler Huntley under center and not Lamar Jackson, because it's kind of changes. You look back on their history. I guess it gives you a little bit of insight what they've done this season, but certainly with a different quarterback, it's gonna change some things. But from a defensive standpoint, for the Pittsburgh Steelers, they give up 23 points per game, which ranks 19th in the league. They give up 362 yards per game, which ranks 24th. They allow third down conversions at a rate of 39.1%, which is 15th, middle of the pack. However, they've given up 64% conversion rate on fourth down attempts by opponents. So that's 29th. So they've certainly given up their fair share of the fourth down conversions. And then opponents rush for an average of 4.1 yards per carry, which is 6th. So that's pretty good. Good against the run. And then passing, let's see, opponents they average 255 yards passing per game, which is 28th in the league. But I will say, they lost their stud, in my opinion. I hate to say it because I don't particularly, the Steelers are my least favorite team, and I don't particularly like this player. But TJ Watt's the best defensive player in football, in my opinion. I know everybody will say Aaron Donald, and you certainly have an argument there. But in my opinion, I think TJ Watt is the most disruptive player in all of football on the defensive side of the ball. And when he was out, they were not the same defense. He started the year. He got hurt in the first game of the season. And really, they went on a massive nosedive in his absence. But he's back. He's been back for a couple games, and they're starting to look like that old, they call it Blitzburg. The old Blitzburg is back. They're pressuring the quarterback at an unprecedented rate. So while they did lose 4 consecutive games, and they lost 6 out of 7 when he was out. Since he's come back, it's been a whole different ball game. They've now won 3 of 4. They beat New Orleans, they beat Indy, and then they just beat Atlanta. They did lose to Cincinnati, but a 37-30 loss. It certainly wasn't a beatdown. So this is a whole new defense, Jimbo, now that TJ Watt's back.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's some guys to look out for, outside even TJ. Of course, Hayward in the middle, who
second best D tackle behind Aaron Donald. No doubt in my mind.
And I think he's I don't know, maybe I keep reaching here. I think he's a Hall of Famer. I think he's certainly going to be in the conversation, if not a lock. And he's an impressive player. And then you got Minkah Fitzpatrick on the back end, who can always make a game-breaking play, physical player himself. Got the bag this offseason. And, of course, he's out there doing his best to prove his worth. So they got guys. They got a defensive-minded coach. They got a team that, a coach that puts a – I listened to an interview with Tomlin and liked him even more. Not that – I wasn't ever not a big fan of his. I wasn't ever the big – what am I trying to say? I always respected Tomlin as a coach, but I really liked the way he motivates his players and talks to them about resisting comfort and really digging deep and figuring out who they are and stuff. So all I'm trying to say is that he'll get these guys to run through a brick wall every single Sunday, game in and game out. And so there's never going to be a lull for this team for the most part, certainly not defensively, where energy and effort go a long way. So it's going to be an interesting game. Old school brawl is what I'm predicting. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And the Ravens, of course, offensively, you guys know who you're dealing with here. This Ravens offense right now overall is 14th, 3rd in rushing, 26th in passing, and 12th in scoring, as you can imagine. Now, the big deal is really down to, like you talked about, Glenn. Lamar Jackson's obviously not going to be under center. It's going to be Tyler Huntley. And then, he's got the band around him. Will Ronnie Stanley be back? But offensively for the Ravens, I really think it's going to come down to whether Huntley can make a few more plays in each of these games that he's going to be playing than he did last year. Because each one of the games he was in, none of them were, for the most part, I think maybe the Cincy blowout, that was with Lamar in there, right? So none of the games. That was the Browns game he got hurt, right?
Oh, you might be right. Yeah,
it was the Browns game. But either way, the games I can think of with Huntley in there, they were competitive games.
Yeah, he lost a lot of one-score games.
And I felt like to me it only came down to 1 or 2 more plays that you wish your quarterback could have made. And so really to me, it's about avoiding negative and just making a few more incremental steps forward in your progress, Huntley. And I think the Ravens can get over the top. But also, another part of the conversation is what's Gus going to be this week?
Yep.
Like you've talked about, he's been struggling.
JK play?
Right, the JK play. We've been seeing some appearances of JK. And then the other thing I think that's worth noting is how will the distribution of the football in the passing game change with Huntley being the number 1 quarterback, throughout the week in practice? Do we see more short stuff to Duvernay? Do we see more underneath stuff to Likely to see if he can get some yak stuff? It's going to be really interesting to see how that plays out, most definitely moving forward.
Yeah, I think the area, when I look at this team, the one guy you didn't mention that is an absolute problem is Alex Highsmith.
Oh, you're right. Shoot.
I mean, Alex Highsmith's got 10 sacks already.
Yeah.
And he's going to be playing opposite TJ Watt. So TJ Watt naturally is going to still get the bulk of the attention from the offense, and Alex Highsmith's likely going to have a lot of favorable matchups. Now, the fortunate thing for the Ravens is it looks like they might be getting Ronnie Stanley back. So instead of him going up against McCary and Faalele, he's going to go up against Ronnie Stanley. So you feel a lot better. TJ Watt typically on the right side. So he's going to be lined up against Morgan Moses. So expect Morgan Moses to get an absolute ton of help. They got to. They got to help him with tight ends. You got to chip him with backs. They got to do a ton to slow him down. And we got to hope, and I'm sure Ronnie will get the occasional help just to, keep him out of rhythm and to mix it up. But I think a lot of times we're going to ask Ronnie if he can eliminate Alex Highsmith by himself. But he's a hell of a player who'll also drop into coverage and break up passes. He's got four forced fumbles already on the season, which is pretty impressive. So that front 4, I mean, you talk about 3 of the guys, Highsmith, Hayward, and TJ Watt are 3 of the very best at their position. I think TJ Watt's the best at his position. I think Hayward is the second, and Highsmith is a proven, bona fide stud pass rusher at this point. I think he's tough. Now, I'll say where they're weak. Their linebackers are not playing very well.
Yeah.
Ever since Devin Bush had that injury,
Yeah.
he's just never come back. I mean, this was a couple
Even before
years
that,
ago.
though, I don't think he was ever
He was
Shazier.
No, and they hoped he would be, but I think his rookie year was still his best year.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I mean,
he just never kind of bounced back.
Never bounced back. They go get Miles Jack and hope that he can kind of be paired with him and be but he's so small that it's just hard for him to shed blocks. And if you can run at these guys, that's really where you can take advantage of them. So when I look at this matchup, man, the Ravens had better be able to run the ball, Jimbo, because if they are forced into long third downs, it's going to be a long, long afternoon.
I'm glad that, I agree with you. But I tell you what, I'm glad that Jared brought this up because I think TJ Watt gets a pass. Someone needs to tell Ronnie to watch his ankles since TJ Watt likes to throw guys on ankles. I don't think TJ Watt's, I'm not going to say he's the dirtiest player in the league, but I think he's got his fair share of dirty in him. I think he likes to punch people and say he's going after the football. I think we've seen some spin move elbows, some people's elbows, and just some goofy stuff going on here. So Jared, I'm glad you bring that up. And in fact, Glenn, I think that we should also announce, if I'm not mistaken, right, we didn't announce our winner from last week.
Oh,
Jared was our winner. So Jared Ramirez won our competition last week. DK, nod your head if I'm incorrect here, or like shake your head no. He was 4 for 4. And I think, 4? Yep. And I mean, 4 for 4 on the over-unders. Super impressive, Jared. Way to be. So make sure you hit us up in any of the social media platforms that are above Glenn's head. Just hit us up with a DM and leave us your address and your shirt size, and we will send you some 410 Sports Talk swag.
Yeah, and I guess you didn't notice, but DK did message you to try and make you aware of your winning. But yeah, shout out to Jared. Congratulations. I think he's is he a first time winner? I think definitely this year. Okay, cool. First time winner. So shout out to Jared. Make sure you reach out to us so we can get you that swag.
Yep.
But yeah, let's see what Jennifer has to say. Jennifer says, "Hey guys, it's your Filipino fan from Utah. Flew in to watch the Ravens-Broncos game last week. Man, that was painful to watch, but we won. Hope we do better this Sunday." Well, shout out to Jen.
I said it would have been way more painful if we lost, though, right?
That's true. That would have been a long trip back to Utah, but yeah, man. Hey, anytime you're flying that far to go watch and support your favorite team, that's awesome. I mean, that's just so 100%. Cool. I hope you had a blast. I know the weather wasn't great. The game wasn't great, but like Jimmy said, you got the dub, and if nothing else, at least you went home a winner.
Yeah, and Jennifer, please do me a favor. Go to Chunga's, go to Gormandy's, somewhere, get some good food while you're in Salt Lake City. Do it for me. I would greatly appreciate it. So we appreciate the support. But yeah, that was a tough game. All right, so Glenn, let's talk about our breakout players and our keys to the game offensively. Now that we've kind of highlighted this matchup from a defensive standpoint for Pittsburgh and an offensive standpoint for the Ravens, I'm going to give you my my offensive key and my player to the game, and then I'll, of course, want you to do the same and want to get your take on mine. Yeah, exactly. Okay. I'm kind of on Tuesday with the videos that we did. I highlighted this, but I'm turning this into my key to the game because I think this is what it's really about. So for me, it's about taking the easy stuff. Like one thing I learned really young is that you can look like a really good player in sports if you just do what you're supposed to do, right? Like just don't make mistakes.
And hide talent.
Right. Don't make mistakes and just do what you're supposed to do, right? That can take you really far and try really hard, right? So if Tyler Huntley can just take the easy stuff and don't try and be Superman, don't try and be Lamar Jackson, take the easy stuff, and then in turn, win the time of possession. I think if the offense can do those two things, that to me will increase greatly the percentage chance that they have to win this football game, come out with the W. So with that being said and taking the easy stuff, I'm really referring to the first, second read, short under stuff and kind of letting the receivers do the job. So my breakout player of the game, Glenn, is James Prochet, number 3, the Baltimore Ravens. I'm saying he's going to have 5 receptions this game and plus 50 yards. You heard it here. Plus 50, 6 receptions or more. But yeah, James Prochet. Anyway, Jimbo, that's my key to the game, my breakout player.
Is it, hey, DK, nod your head if it's just my ears. Is Jimmy got some crackling with his mic?
Do I? How about now?
Okay. I think it's just when you're hitting it.
I think it's the zipper.
And then the zipper. Yeah. So
Yeah.
just be careful because it's
Just gotta put
causing
my
like
preacher's
pops.
hands away.
Yeah, it's popping. But yeah, definitely not James Prochet.
No, speaking of popping, James Prochet's gonna be
James
popping on Sunday.
might get popped, but he ain't popping off the stat sheets. That's for sure. Well,
we'll
to
see.
me,
We'll
when
see.
I look at this team, I try and put my mind, try and put myself in the mind of like what a DC would look at this offense and attack. I would say, man, we are attacking. This is Blitzburg. They are going to bring the noise. They're going to say, focus on the run on first and second down, force them into third and long, and then absolutely blitz the crap out of them.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you have to stay ahead of the chains at all costs. You cannot let yourself be forced into long third downs where that you cannot have penalties. Certainly pre-snap. Can't have a pre-snap penalty this week. Can have 0 pre-snap penalties. And you cannot have tackles for loss. So I think that Ronnie Stanley being back will be a big help, but I really hope that we see a different version that we've seen of Gus Edwards this past couple weeks. He just hasn't looked like himself, and I'm hopeful that we kind of start to see a little bit of the old Gus back because, man, you can't have loss on you cannot have tackles for loss, cannot have long third downs, and they are going to play so freaking aggressive, Jimbo. You got to win a one-on-one on the outside. You just got to, please. And if that is James Prochet, I'll be happy that I was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be shocked like hell, but I'll be happy that I was wrong. So to me, it's just stay ahead of the chains. And then my breakout player, the only guy to me that's shown since we've kind of been in this little bit of a rut and we've seen Bateman out, the only guy that's shown that he can get open in one-on-one matchups and make big explosive plays has been Demarcus Robinson, right? I mean, He had the game where he had over 100 yards. I think he had 7 or 9 catches. I think it was 9.
9.
Yeah, he had one big game. And so until I see someone else doing it, I gotta think that he's the only guy that can do it. Now, I think there's some – I almost put Deshaun Jackson down because I think there's a shot he catches a big one.
Mm-hmm.
But again, the volume that I think Robinson gets the most targets outside of maybe Mark Andrews, and I think he gets the most as well. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Robinson. But, man, this game, Jimbo – it's got me nervous, man.
No, I hear you. I hear you 100%. And the other thing too, I think Deshaun Watson's also a good candidate. Or Deshaun Watson. Oh my gosh. Deshaun Jackson, excuse me. Sorry, Deshaun. I apologize. Don't want to confuse the two of you. Would never want to do that.
The serial sex
pervert.
Offender. Yeah.
Golly day. All right. So Deshaun Jackson, was also told by one Mike Tomlin that he was going to be a Pittsburgh Steeler. And didn't end up happening. So he's got a little extra motivation in his back pocket in this game. Maybe when that ball's out there and it feels like it's just a little bit outside his outstretched hands, puts a little bit of jet fuel in the heels and gets him going just a little more. So I think that's a good one as well. That'll be really interesting.
Yeah, I think he's better off where he's at.
I hear you, DK. I'll say this though: if Tyler's just straight dropping back, Duke can throw it on a rope. He can get it out there.
Jimmy's going to support his guy.
Yeah, but honestly though, he'll get it out there. The thing really, DK, what it comes down to is he going to be willing to push it down the field? Like, can he do it for sure?
And will he have time?
Yeah, will he have time? And is he going to be willing to take the shot, knowing that Tyler is very loyal to the system in which he plays and wants to avoid negative, very badly, right? Like that's within his makeup. So that'll be interesting. The other thing I want to mention too is that he's got to make sure, because you talked about the blitzing, he's got to make sure he holds on to the football.
Oh, turnovers is absolutely huge.
And especially fumbles in the backfield with, like you said, Hightower and
Heisman.
Heisman and Watt, of course, Mr. UFC himself.
Who will throw a hook shot, this SRG3.
Golly day. He knocked the wind out of him a couple of times, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Put him in concussion protocol, too, just for a punch from TJ Watt. All right, so let's switch it up here. Let's go to the Ravens defense and against this stellar Steelers offense. So this offense has got some guys, but I just want to give you a quick breakdown here offensively for the Steelers. Some fun stuff here we got going on. The Steelers are 26th overall, 16th in the rush, 24th in the pass, and 28th in scoring. And if you want some hard numbers, here's some good stuff for you as well. Let's check on Mr. Kenny Pickett himself. He's got 17, little under 1,800 yards. He's, of course, averaging a little over 6 right now and a little under 200 yards per game. He's got 2 interceptions per 1 touchdown ratio right now. He's got 8 interceptions to 4 touchdowns, and he's been sacked 23 times, Glenn. So lots of learning going on in Kenny Pickett's life right now. You talked about, actually haven't talked about him yet. One of the guys that we have as a highlight, of course, is Deontay Johnson, but their leading receiver is their tight end in Freiermuth. Is it Freiermuth?
Freiermuth. You got it.
I always want to say Freiermuth, but Freiermuth, whatever his name is. I can't get that.
He's a good player.
Right.
You better get it right.
He's a good player.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. But, we can't go without talking about their rushing attack led by Najee Harris. Mr. Najee, not 4 yards a game, or not 4 yards a carry. Harris, he's averaging 3.9 for his career. I think 3.8 this year on 80 million touches. So, he's someone they're looking to get the ball as much as they can. And he tries his best to be Derrick Henry. So, yeah, they're an offense.
Derrick Henry. Stop it.
He tries his best. He just tries his best to be a Diet Coke Derrick Henry.
I don't think their games are very safe. Okay, I like that you hate on all this.
It's not even that I don't like him as a person. I just feel like people automatically thought he was great and he hadn't played it down in the NFL. And I'm like, dude, can you give it a second? Like, give it a second.
It's true. And
see what he does.
Old 3 point, something per carry is not, that's not impressive. And compare his stats to Gus's and come talk to me. Yep. Yeah, I agree.
So anyway, that's their offense in a nutshell.
And it doesn't look like, and we didn't go through the injury report for the Steelers, so I wanted to quickly run through a couple of these.
Yeah.
Because I think that there's a chance that maybe the concern I think that Pittsburgh's having is Deontay Johnson was downgraded to did not participate for a hip injury. I think that's the most concerning one. Like when I see TJ Watt didn't participate because of ribs, he's going to play. Yeah. He's going to play. Cam Hayward obviously didn't participate, but it's a coaching decision due to rest. I think he's going to play. But the big one that I think is possible that it could have been an issue that popped up in Wednesday's practice and why he was limited is that hip issue for Deontay that would be a big, big loss for them because Deontay Johnson, I know we're going to start talking about some of their players to look for, and it leads me right to him. He's a hell of a player. I mean, he's got inconsistent hands. There's no doubt about it. He's, I think, led this league in drop passes back when Ben was still playing. So he has inconsistent hands, but he's a hell of a route runner. And man, he could juke me in a hallway. He could come in my house. We could stand on other ends of my hallway, which is not wide, and I wouldn't even touch the guy. The guy's got incredible yak. He's a great route runner, but he does have inconsistent hands, so he will drop it. George Pickens, the stud, everybody's ready to crown him as the next Randy Moss. George Pickens, the rookie from Georgia, all the talent to make every 50-50 catch. But the problem is, and the reason why he fell to where he was, amidst also some character issues and some stuff like that, the guy just cannot separate and cannot get open. Can't do it. So everybody, they put up his catches. And by the way, he has highlight reel catches. He will, but it reminds me of the preseason when we had, who was it that was making all those 50-50 catches, had the Moss touchdown in the end zone for us. We just signed him back to the practice squad.
Benjamin Victor?
No.
Shamar Bridges.
Shamar Bridges.
Yeah.
The reason George Pickens has so many highlight reel 50-50 catch wins is because he's constantly in those situations and never can separate from the defender. Yeah. So in this particular matchup, I think it's perfect for a team like the Ravens because, I mean, if you can't separate from Marlon Humphrey, it ain't going to be easy to pull down the ball because he's just so damn physical. He's so damn aggressive. And he's so damn strong that good luck pushing him out of the way if you don't have enough separation from him. So I think this is a bad matchup for Pickens. And I think this is a game in which the Ravens can take advantage of the fact that he just doesn't separate well and look for an interception maybe coming from him. Because that's the thing about Kenny Pickett. He'll turn the ball over, and he was sacked a ton. Now, Jimmy, let me ask you this. I'm going to kick one back to you. Does it make you nervous against Atlanta? Now, it's Atlanta. They're not the best team. But let me see. I read this stat earlier, and I just want to make sure. I'm pulling it up now. Of course, my computer's acting slow. Okay, there we go. Kenny Pickett last week, 1 touchdown, no picks, and was sacked 0 times. A trend that was not in his favor in the first few starts. He was getting sacked a ton. He had a bunch of turns. You mentioned it. 4 touchdowns, 8 picks on the year. But last week, 1 touchdown, was sacked 0 times, had no turnovers. What's your thoughts on that? You think that's a trend that could be starting, or was that
No. Wait till he plays us. It's going to be a totally different story. Between the pass rush, the secondary, I think the experience in the secondary trips him up a little bit. I think Marcus might, it's not like he hasn't seen a thing or two already as far as Pickett goes, because he's been starting for a while now. But this is his first time playing the Ravens. His first time in a Ravens-Steelers matchup. I just don't think anything about this matchup goes well for Kenny Pickett. So yeah, I think that is a pure result of playing the Atlanta Falcons.
And that's I think that's very fair to say that, but I had to point it out because I think it's interesting.
Fair.
Bailey Got Beat says, shout out to you guys and the entire Ravens flock in the live chat. Everybody in here, I hope everybody has a wonderful holiday season. Let's go Ravens. Shout out to Bailey. Appreciate the love. Absolutely. Appreciate everybody who comes out. I mean, the fact that we have so many regulars that come out and don't miss a show is super humbling. It's awesome, and I hope everybody has a fantastic holiday. It's my favorite holiday, obviously. Once you have children, this kind of jumps up the rankings there. It was always Thanksgiving, but now it's definitely Christmas. To see, the lit up face is just the best. So yeah, Absolutely. Shout out to Bailey. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Appreciate you guys joining us every week.
100%.
But yeah, I mean, this is a team that they're Kenny Pickett's still learning. I think they like what they have in him. They think they got a guy who's showing a ton of poise. The moment's not going to be too big. He has athleticism, so watch out for his legs. He famously had that huge run in his final year of college where he faked the
fake
QB slide. Yeah, everyone held up. He faked going into a slide and then took off and ended up getting a ton more yards. I think he scored a touchdown on that drive. So he does have athleticism, will run the ball a handful of times.
Got them small hands.
You will see him in a couple of gloves. Compensating for the small hands. Yep. Doesn't have the strongest arm, doesn't have a lot of things, but he does have poise. He does have good decision making. He does have some sneaky athleticism. So he will pose some
Glenn,
problems.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Why does his athleticism got to be sneaky?
You know why it's sneaky. I don't have to say why it's sneaky. You know damn well why it's sneaky, Jimbo.
They come up right behind you, sneak up on you.
That's right. That's right.
That's awesome. All right, well, I want to talk about your defensive keys to the game and breakout player, Glenn. Who you got?
Yeah, to me, it's just to bother Kenny Pickett as far as keys to the game. Sack him. I mean, he had a trend where he was getting sacked a ton. He was turning the ball over. I think when I look at this offensive line, I think there's certainly an opportunity for the Ravens to get after the quarterback. They've been doing it at a pretty high clip all season. I don't think anything changes. I think they need to bother him. And of course, like you mentioned, first time seeing him, so they don't know. He doesn't know firsthand the type of secondary he's going up against. And I think he's going to learn this after, this week coming up. I think they're going to bother him. I think they're going to confuse him. And I think he's going to turn the ball over a couple times. And then my breakout player is Justin Houston. We didn't see him do much last week, kind of quiet. I think he bounces back after a quiet week last week, and he gets to Kenny Pickett at least one time.
Like it a lot. All right, so my defensive key to the game is going to be take out Najee. No, dang it, I lost it already. Najee under 4 yards a carry.
Just call him 3 yards a pop.
Yeah, Najee 3 yards a pop. Harris. There you go. That just rolls off the tongue. This is why I make a good team. Anyway, either way, take Najee Harris out of the game. Obviously, they get him the ball in passing situations. They get him the ball. Obviously, in rushing situations, they get him the ball a lot. Let's just limit his impact. And my breakout player pairs right along with that. Well, if you remember in the Saints game, wasn't that Roquan's first game as a Raven?
Yep.
And he made Kamara basically nothing in that game. I think that was one of his least productive games of the season thus far. And there was a few plays where he was in isolation and had to make good tackles. And so I expect that to be even easier against a guy who's certainly slower and less elusive than Alvin Kamara in the open field in Najee Harris.
We're bagging on him, but not.
You don't have to.
I
don't
think.
have to.
Look, I mean, I have no problem picking on him, but I do think Najee Harris is a good football player. I think he's a 3-down back. He can block. He can catch. He can run.
You hear that, guys? Glenn's a Steelers fan.
I just want to be fair. I think he's a good player, but I agree with you. I think Roquan has probably in the teens in tackles, especially if that team can't play.
And I would bet that in a 40, Roquan is faster. I put my money on Roquan.
He might be. He might be. But, you know, let's be honest. Harris hasn't had
a stiff arm. We might have a problem.
Yeah, because Najee does have a good stiff arm. Now, let me ask you this. Najee also, he doesn't have the greatest offensive line in front of him. You know the importance there. Yeah. And he also has Kenny Two-Glove Pickett under center. So
yeah, Najee, no excuses. Harris.
I love it.
There you go. Take the crown off Najee Harris is all I'm saying. Make him earn it. So anyway, yeah, I think that's my breakout, or excuse me, that's my key to the game. Just eliminate him, and I think that we really stifle their offense, and then stifle their offense.
There you go.
And then of course Roquan I think is just gonna have a monster game. But I tell you what, Glenn, this is why we're really here. You know why we're really here.
Oh, I know. It's competition time, baby.
It is competition time. Brought to you by Prize Picks. I've been out in California for a while making some money.
Dude, I'm tired of it. You know what? I'm a little irritated. I'm a little irritated because Prize Picks still ain't in Maryland. I was wrong in thinking that it was coming here because I thought, like all the other sites, that it would be here. It's not here yet. Jimmy's been bragging because he's in California. He's in other parts of the country where he can just make all these bets. But it's coming. It's right. Still, I thought everyone would be there at the same time. Apparently, other places got there a little quicker, but it's coming. But if you don't live in Maryland, chances are Prize Picks is eligible in your state, and you got a great opportunity to make a lot of money. They'll match up to $100 if you use promo code 410. And, you know, it's some of these bets, it's like they're literally trying to hand people money just to just to get you in the spirit of things. They're putting some of these over-unders at an absurdly low rate. So if your state participates, why RTV saying you can't bet in Cali? What's going on, Jimbo?
I'm betting. I've been laying down some bets.
There you go.
I tell you what, I don't know what I did. Maybe
you were doing them in Maryland, I thought. I mean, I don't know if it's like where your phone is registered.
Yeah, I don't know either. But I was laying down some bets in Maryland. And look, if you really want to do it, I'm pretty sure you can just use a VPN, and you can be anywhere you want to be.
I don't know how that works, but I believe him. I believe him. But anyway, go to Prize Picks if you're eligible and use promo code 410 to get a match. And yeah, it's easy money. I mean, it's easy money. Just pick and choose. You know your team better than anyone. So it makes it easy. Just bet on your team. All right, let's get into the over under competition. I'm happy to
go to
see
James Crochet and pick the over this week. That's what I'm doing.
Don't do it.
On catches.
Don't do it.
I think it's set at 0.5.
Take the under.
All right, so let's do it, Glenn.
All right, let's get into it. First one is okay, there we go. Tyler Huntley. We got to make sure we get this right because Huntley is now on the team.
That's right.
But Huntley, passing attempts, over under 34.5 pass attempts. Jimmy, how many times is Tyler throwing the rock?
Yeah, definitely not 34.5. He's going under. I would say closer to the 23 to 25 range. That would be where Huntley, his attempts end up being. So I'm going under. What about you?
Yeah, I go under as well. I think if it's anywhere near that, that's probably not a good thing for the Ravens.
Yeah, agreed, 100%. All right, let's go to the next one, DK. Deshaun Jackson targets 5.5. This is an interesting one for me. I just think it's interesting that we all said the same thing. This might have been the easy one for me in a while, I feel like, only because Deshaun is a take the top off the defense type guy. So I'm going under. I don't know if he gets the ball a ton, but obviously he can make a few splash plays and have a lot of yardage. So I'm going under.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if Deshaun Jackson ever gets more than 4 carries in a game.
Catches.
I just think that's it. Catches. Targets. I don't think he'll ever get more than 4, just based on, I think they don't want to overuse him. He's an older guy. I think they want to keep him here. So I just don't think he'll get the routes.
Got to manage the hammies, dude.
Yeah, exactly. At this age. But I do.
Tuned up.
After the first over-under, I just quickly went back. I bet you'd be surprised to hear that Tyler Huntley threw the ball 32 times in a game he didn't start and in a game where this offense could not get off the ground. And he threw it 32 times last week. So maybe that number isn't so crazy and DK's onto something here. But
that's fine.
Yeah, he's the only one who clicked over too. So that's interesting kind of how that worked out. But
don't you think since DK makes them up, he should have an inherent advantage and should be the most accurate?
Well, yeah, but sometimes, over analysis is a problem too. We've all been there. So yeah,
private hell.
Let's not try and make him out to be some sort of a cheater, which is what it sounded like here, Jimbo, is what you were accusing him of.
No. Just that he has a built-in advantage.
Maybe so. He does create the over-unders. All right, so first defensive over-under is Ravens tackles for loss. He sets it at 4.5. Jimbo, what do you say?
I'm going under on this one, Glenn. I think that we'll have a lot of plays at the line of scrimmage. Look, as much as I've trashed Najee Harris, like he's a physically imposing guy. That's, he's not a small scat type back. So I think he'll get back to the line of scrimmage plus 1 or 2. I don't think he's going to get knocked back a lot. So 4.5 tackles for loss seems a little high to me. I'm going under.
Yeah, I think if we were just talking about Najee, I'd agree with you. But this includes sacks too, Jimbo.
Sure.
And I think they get to Kenny, say 3 times. And so with 3 sacks already in my pocket, you're telling me all we need is 2 tackles for loss throughout the rest of the game. I'll take my chances with that. And I think they go over. Although I will say their offensive line doesn't give up a ton of like, free runners in the run game. They don't necessarily get up to the second and third levels very well, but I do think that they do a decent job in the initial point of contact. So you might sneak me on that one there, Jimbo, but we'll have to wait and see. I think sacks might be my winning window there.
Yeah, that's going to be where you make it or break it for sure.
Yep, exactly. So, all right, so let's move on to the next one. We have Steelers yards per play. DK sets it at 4.2 yards per play. What do you think, Jimbo?
Yeah, this was the hardest one for me.
Yeah.
Because you think of Najee's average, right? And you got to think I think in the passing game, they'll be a little over that. And so it comes to right around 4.25. So DK did pretty good with this one, but I'm going just over, like 4.26, like just over, right? Like, I don't think it's much higher than that, but I am going over on this one. What about you?
I'm gonna say they go over, and the reason being is that's pretty low. Like, just to give you a reference, the Ravens average 5.6 yards per play. The Steelers average 4.8, and that's 30th in the league. So at 4.8, you're damn near last in the league. So to get down to 4.25, that's a hell of a disappointing offense. And, the Steelers have been playing well lately. Freiermuth's doing his thing. Pickett's had his best game of the season last week. And so for that reason, I think they go over. And I think they're more along the lines of their season average 4.8.
Fair enough. Love it. All right. So the last few we got to get to here, of course, these are the 4 over-unders, the main 4 that we focus on. We have some tiebreakers, one of them being the over-under on the score. So let's see what DK set it at. The first tiebreaker is the total score over-under 36.5. Let's see here. Glenn, I'll let you go first, my friend.
Yeah, I'm going to say under on this one. And I know it's an extraordinarily low total, but I still say under just because of the disappointment on both sides offensively. Like, the Ravens have scored how many points these last 2 weeks? How many points? 10 and 13, right?
Yeah.
That's horrible. That's horrible. So, and I don't expect them to necessarily break out of their funk with Tyler Huntley under center. I mean, maybe if Lamar was there, I may have a little more confidence, but I think it's a relatively low scoring game for both teams. I think the Ravens win, but I don't think it's very high scoring. I'd say 20-17, 20-16.
Like that one, Glenn.
You see that?
So I'm going over. I'm going just over. I'm going 37, unless, once again, my math is incorrect. But I think the Ravens win 21-16. I think this is going to be and I had that number down first, by the way, just for everyone's reference.
My under was up first, though.
That's fair, but I'm going over.
Okay. All right. But don't act like you. I didn't
have
my
the
entries in first.
I like how you said 2017, then you stole mine. You said 16.
Because I realized 2017 was over.
There you go. Right. So you had to go 2016.
But DK, said we weren't doing scores anymore in the over-unders.
Well,
Okay?
we are because we're giving our predictions in the show.
All right. Okay.
Yeah. So 21-16, Baltimore Ravens. I also agree with you. I don't think they like get out of an offensive funk, but I think they might get a defensive touchdown in this game, which help kind of bumps this up a little bit. I wouldn't be surprised about it. I also wouldn't be crazy surprised if both defenses score. Like I wouldn't be, you know what I mean? I wouldn't be just absolutely flabbergasted, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely not. I mean, the defenses have the advantage on both sides.
100%. So last tiebreaker, if after all that, all of us and you guys in the entries
I'm disappointed in you two, man.
are still
I don't like the Ravens, man.
Wait, what? Oh gosh, here we go. Our
DK definitely don't like the Ravens,
no, DK
man.
does not. We have the second tiebreaker. Total yards for Ravens, closest to the pin. DK, what is the? Oh, right. So
DK, I need you to display your prediction as a banner, man. After that, I need that to be seen for the world.
Like, well, you know what happened? You remember week 1? DK said we were going to get like 700 yards. And ever since then, he's a scorned lover.
DK.
He's just a scorned lover. He's being extra cautious.
Well, I say the Ravens get 365 yards of offense in this one. It's not their highest total, but I think they have a good game plan in this game. I think they get back to what they do best. I think Ronnie's return helps the run game, and for that reason, they have some pretty good success on the ground. 365 is my prediction.
I like it. I'm going with 345. I think it's going to be a little lower than that, but I do think they have a decent output. I mean, I'll just leave it at that. I think it's going to be a decent output. DK, though, just so you guys know, DK, are you putting up a banner? 300. DK goes 300. So the Baltimore Ravens are barely going to move the football, is basically what DK is saying. I love being able to talk when DK can't defend himself.
That's right.
It's the best.
300.
Yeah.
Dang.
So DK says the Ravens are going to get 300 yards. Yeah, shame on you, DK. Lisa Ann said it here.
Yeah.
We're just giving you a hard time, DK.
No, I'm dead serious. I just want to say this. Last week, that horrible, just terrifying offensive performance, they had 285. So you're saying they're only getting 15 yards better? Damn.
It's going to be interesting to see. It's going to be an exciting game. And I tell you what, I think no matter what, it's going to be close. It's going to be physical. It's going to be defense heavy. It's going to be run game heavy. It's going to be a Ravens-Steelers matchup. I know I'm excited for it. I know Glenn and the rest of the crew is as well, DK and Brad. Hopefully you guys are as well. But that's all we got tonight, folks. Let's give some quick shout-outs. And remember, Jared, to DM us your shirt size and address. But Lisa Ann, Adrian Ortega, Don C, of course, Jimmy Kidwell, Bailey got beats. I saw a lot of folks laughing here tonight. We might have, hopefully we gave some good laughs and you guys had some good entertainment. Amber Alert, a girl with a phone. Katie Martin, of course. Wonder who that is. J-Dub 45.
Nana Rave was in the house. And
Nana Rave. We went deep tonight. We appreciate it.
Shout out to Brent Lauren also here. And look at that. Lisa Ann says Glenn is one of the most, what did it say? Honest?
Yeah,
of course.
Apparently you're one of those.
Yep. She knows. You know,
I don't know who you hang around, Lisa, but you might need some new friends.
He's lying, ladies and gentlemen. He's absolutely lying.
I'm a troll. What can I say?
That's right. But yeah, this has been an absolute blast. I'm excited that it's finally Steelers week. This might be, I can't recall a season in which the first matchup was this late. This is week 14, and we're just now seeing a Steelers Ravens. This should be an absolute great game. I think it comes down to the fourth quarter, and let's hope that the Ravens are on the right side of this fourth quarter.
Absolutely. Let us know what your guys' thoughts are in the chat, and of course, submit all your entries in the comments to this video or all the social media platforms. We'll talk to you guys soon.
See you.